Hello everyone. I have an impromptu unboxing today. This box arrived this morning and I can't begin to tell you how relieved I am that it is here. There's a bit of a story behind me getting this box. AI Somnium Files, the second game, and it ties in a bit with the previous video about collecting games, because obviously this being a collector's edition, it comes under the label of collecting. Me trying to get hold of it exemplifies some of the issues I was talking about. So if you are struggling yourself with trying to get hold of a particular edition, a game, or even some game-related merchandise, then you may find this story interesting. I will start digging into the cellophane while I explain what exactly happened. So this game was announced quite a long time ago. I can't quite remember, possibly 6 months ago. I instantly pre-ordered the collector's edition. I knew I wanted it, and it is important to me, not because I have to have it in my collection, but because I have a really strong connection with the game. The first game is this one, and I got the special edition for it at the time, and I did an unboxing including this game. So I'll put a little tab up at the top there with a link if you want to catch up with that and see a bit more about the first game. I recommend that because the two really do go together.
It can't be.
What's wrong, Mizuki? Are you okay?
At the time I pre-ordered it, Amazon had the best price for it, even with shipping and import tax, etc. to New Zealand. It was quite a reasonable cost. So I placed the order. I've had previous pre-orders with Amazon and most of them have been all right, although I am aware that quite a few people have had complaints about pre-orders being cancelled. That did happen to me with one Amazon pre-order, so I was aware of the issue, but as it got closer to release date, I sort of felt quite confident and thought, oh, well, that should all be going ahead. Well, 1 or 2 days before release, I get one of these standard emails from Amazon saying, oh, we're sorry, we can't fulfill your order. That was it. Well, I was pretty peeved, as you can imagine. So, quickly, I galloped over to Play Asia because I knew they had also listed the collector's edition. Would there still be any available? It was listed. I placed the order, being aware that with Play Asia there can also sometimes be difficult stock situations. And it took a while, and I was sort of hopeful, but in the end I got the dreaded email saying they tried but they could not fulfill my order. So at that stage my hopes were dwindling rather fast. Would you believe it? I always say the universe works in strange ways, but it is also part of a collector's job to have plan A, B, C, D, E, etc. in place. You need to be signed up to as many outlets for information as possible, and that includes retailers, obviously, but also publishers, sometimes developers, anyone who has relevant and timely information about the games you're interested in. You need to be subscribed to their mailing list, which means you get sometimes a flood of emails, and you have to, develop a good strategy for sifting through them quickly so that you can spot what's important. I got an email from a smaller retailer in the UK with whom I place orders regularly. On my watch list, I obviously still had this. I knew that they had sold out long ago. They don't have a large stock of special editions ever. You need to be in there really, really fast. And I just hadn't expected that there might still be something available. So either they had to replenish, or maybe they found a few copies in their warehouse. The email said, "You had this in your wish list. We actually have stock available." And I thought, I know this one. The email comes in overnight with a time delay of me being in a different time zone. By the time I get there, anything like that is usually gone, I went over to have a look, and would you believe it? There was one copy left. With trembling fingers, I shoved it into the shopping cart and I skedaddled through that checkout. Fortunately, I know it very well because I shop a lot there, so I know how to get through it really fast. And after that, the long wait began, because normally it takes about average 4 weeks for shipping from the UK and from that outlet to us. Now, this is a retailer. They have several online shops, and one of them specialises in supplying games to the New Zealand market. So they in the UK obviously found a niche, realising how difficult it is for us in New Zealand to access anything beyond the obvious mainstream and AAA type games. So they're called NZ Game Shop, obviously NZ for New Zealand. They also have an Australian counterpart, Oz Game Shop. And I think their UK branch is called 365 Gaming, something like that. After I had placed the order, the NZ shop went through some kind of restructuring of the website. For a while you couldn't really see an awful lot there, and I thought, I hope they managed to get my copy out of the warehouse. And on the way I got a wee bit nervous. Everything went okay, and they had packed it properly in a box with padding. I heaved such a sigh of relief when Poodle Park came through with that box. It's a happy day because I can add the second special edition to the first one. And I'm hoping we will find something really cool inside this box. It's not a huge box, and I don't think there's an awful lot in there. But let me first tell you what it says on the back about the game. If you already are into AI Somnium Files, then you will have an idea. But there will be many of you who aren't. And when I say it's a visual novel, I know that's an instant turn off for many gamers. Boring, so much to read. Just wait a moment, because this one is different. If you've never ever played a visual novel, but you do like detective investigation type of games, games with a futuristic or science fiction setting or elements.
伊達、ボスから電話だ。
繋いでくれ。
さっき相棒から報告を受けたわ。
ボス、何か分かったら連。
ええ、そっち。
A bit of gruesome murder story.
そんな。沖浦。
If that sounds like your cup of tea, I would recommend you give AI the Somnium Files a try. I think you might be surprised. There's enough gameplay in there that keeps your little grey cells working, and a variety of things you've got to keep tabs on, and depending on your decisions, you will go down one route or another in the story, so it's always really exciting to slowly realize which route you're traveling along.
ソムニウムスキャン開始。
And then, of course, once you come to the end, if you really liked it, you will want to go back to the splitting point and explore the other branch or branches of the story. Truth is only an illusion. 6 years ago, the right half of a corpse was discovered. The left half was never found until 6 years later, completely fresh with no signs of decay.
Next question. Which Taoist symbol, shaped like interlocking black and white commas, represents the origin of all things?
What the? A blackout?
What are you standing around for? Get.
Yeah, I'm on it!
Now, Special Agents Mizuki and Ryuki, along with their AI partners, Aiba and Tama, are tasked to solve the bizarre half-body serial killings while unveiling the mysterious plot known only as the Nirvana Initiative. So if I tell you briefly what the first game was about, that'll give you more of an impression, because the second game follows the same format. It was a winning formula for the first game, and I think they've tried to polish it even more for this second one. So the AI Somnium stories take place in a near-future Tokyo. And in the first game, Special Agent Kaname Date, who is a member of a top-secret police organization, aren't they always, called ABIS, Advanced Brain Investigation Squad. Don't you just love it? They investigate crimes via a process called Psyncing, which basically means they enter something called the Dreamworld. Imagine it a bit as a person's subconscious. So they try and investigate crimes by following this Psyncing process with so-called persons of interest.
大丈夫か？
だって
言葉を取り戻したみたいね。
As a player, you actually will do this. You will enter this dream world and need to operate in it, and that's where the AI sidekick of the detective comes in, because it can operate in that environment.
残り2分ないですよ。急いでください。
パラソルが食おうか。
こんな楽に止める方法。行こう。水木を助けるぞ。
水木だ。
水木。
So there is really interesting gameplay there. You've only got a very limited amount of time to spend in that dream world. I think it's only 6 minutes. So there is an urgency. You need to quickly discover the clues and come, to the right conclusion, all within that time frame. So that adds a bit of tension. So if you watch my original video on the first AI Somnium Files game, you will realise that the writer is the well-known Kotaro Uchikoshi. I'm a big fan of his games, and so are many, many others. It's great to have that community. He's probably best known for the series called the Zero Escape games, which are absolutely fantastic. So Kotaro Uchikoshi returned for making the second game together with character designer Yusuke Kozaki, and the first game's designer and assistant director Akira Okada took over as director in the second game. So a nice continuity of teamwork there, which always helps with cohesion. The composer is Keisuke Ito. So once again, this game is set in Tokyo, And this time follows two detectives. One of them is called Mizuki Date, so I assume there's a connection with the detective also called Date from the first game. And I gather that the game has a supporting cast of characters from the first game. So let's have a look inside now. As you open up, there's a cute little illustration on the top flaps. Oh, this was very, very tightly packed, and I'm just ripping off the protective tissue paper. The well-known pop-up parade, they do a lot of figures, and I have quite a few of them. I consider them a very good value with very reasonable quality. I've never had a dud. So this is the AI character Aiba in her special form, which you see when you get inside the Dreamworld.
相棒は人工神経によって伊達さんの脳内とリンクしています。極端に言うと、相棒は伊達さんの脳の一部ということに。このため、シンクの際に伊達さんの自我データと合わせて、相棒のメインプログラムの一部も対象者の脳内に送り込まれることになります。ただし、あくまでも一部です。相棒の全ての機能が転送されるわけではありません。
だからソムニウム内の相棒はアホっぽいのか。
アホって言うな。
I'll get the figure out in a moment. Let me just see, obviously there's got to be the game in here. And something else. Yes. So that's a very nice cover, I think. I like the design. Just a disc inside. And we have a soundtrack with 30 tracks. I will, as usual, get a couple of tracks off and try and add them as a bit of background music. And Secret of the World, the definitive art book. Most of you know how I like my art books. I would describe this to be a bit more accurate as a booklet. But what I do like is when they include some extra information. There is an interview called Secrets Revealed with Kotaro Uchikoshi, Akira Okada, and Yusuke Kozai. Now, in this interview, Uchikoshi emphasizes that there were a lot of requests for a sequel, and it was due to fan encouragement that we could make this game. So thank you to everybody. It is a very interesting game, so please expect good things. I do indeed. Now, he also addresses the question that many people have: can I play the second game without playing the first game? Uchikoshi comments, we had the idea that we want people to be able to enjoy this game despite not playing AI1. The characters from AI1 were really popular, so even while including them in AI2, we made the game in such a way to make even new players interested. On this point, I have a bit more information to add, which is a really interesting approach they took, because obviously with visual novels, a lot of progress is decided by the answers you pick in dialogue, which choices you make. What they've done is, in the second game, is they ask the player if they are familiar with the first game. Answering no means that spoilers for the first AI Somnium Files game will be removed from dialogue options. So for people who absolutely do not want any spoilers but still want to play the second game, that is a really interesting option that I haven't come across before. So they've obviously put quite a bit of thought into this. If you answer yes to the question, are you familiar with the first game, then the dialogue options are all restored, but the important thing is that is emphasized in all the information I found about the game. It is a standalone game. You will obviously, especially recognizing characters from the first game, etc., you will probably gain some extra enjoyment from that, but as a story and as an experience, you absolutely can play it on its own. So here is the design for Mizuki Date, one of the investigating detectives. And I remember now, of course, there is a Mizuki in the first game who's at that stage still quite young. And I wonder whether that's the same Mizuki. And the other detective, a new character, is Ryuki. So one of the AIs assisting the detectives is Tama. This is a new one. Interesting design. And Aiba, who returns from the first game, and I'm pretty sure is a very popular favourite. Included are some pictures of locations and various other characters from the rest of the cast. I do like the fact that there are some notes with the visuals, with the character portraits and the locations. The print quality is okay. I think it would have benefited from perhaps a slightly bigger size, especially the locations. That's always in the small format. They don't really come through that well, I think. But it certainly gives you a taster and a little bit of background on the characters and, importantly, that interview. So here we have Aiba. I'll just pop her onto her base. So there she is, long flowing hair at the back. It's a nice figure and exactly as I remember her from the first game. Now, I quickly pulled up the Good Smile Company web page about this figure because I wasn't quite sure whether it's available at retail, but it says this item is available exclusively in the collector's edition of Nirvana Initiative. It also says Aiba comes in both her human and hamster forms. And for a moment there, I thought, where's the hamster? I literally hadn't spotted it. You probably have, but, my eyesight. It's a tiny, tiny hamster form sitting on her left shoulder. Let's see if you can spot it. You see it there with that one big center eye. Yeah. So that's it. That's AI TheSomnium Files, the sequel, for which I am hugely excited. I will, of course, in due course, talk about the game and maybe talk about both together. So I need to get busy and do some recording. But I would really love it if a lot more people got interested in visual novels, and I think Kotaro Uchikoshi is someone who can make visual novels really exciting. He's someone who thinks outside the box a lot of the time, and the mechanics he introduces into his visual novels, to me, feel like they're an organic part of the story. In that respect, I would say AI Somnium Files is probably a bit of a breakthrough for the genre, because we're used with visual novels to often a very sort of static experience where you read through the text, you have nice illustrations, you make your choices, and then you go down one route or the other, and that's pretty much it. Some visual novels are almost like an illustrated book. Make your choice, choose your adventure kind of thing, and that's it. That's the player input. But a visual novel from Kotaro Uchikoshi is a very different beast altogether, where you feel engaged all the time and on different levels according to what you need to accomplish. If you don't want to buy a copy but happen to have an Xbox with GamePass, you can play the first game. It's right there, ready for you to jump in. Please do. Otherwise, it's available on all platforms, PS4, 5, and also the Switch, of course. Thank you very much for your time. I really hope there was something of interest in this video for you. Let me know if you've played the first game and maybe already the second one. As always, please keep well. I'm Food for Dogs. Bye-bye.